At the end of the day, it goes back to that treatment. If that treatment isn't the same device to device, we've messed up. And so keeping that consistency, making sure that it's hitting on all of those at the same time, that's the most important thing. Because the minute a customer has a bad experience, we've lost them forever.
Hello and welcome to Direct to Consumer by Pilothouse. Today we are thrilled to be having a hot seat with Therabody VP acquisition, Dirk MacGregor, and Pilothouse co-founders Kylh, Eitchcox, and Shannon. Now, Therabody is the maker of a fourth generation product called Theragun, as well as some other things that we'll get into. They've been pioneering the field of percussive therapy after being founded in 2007 out of necessity to help heal its founder, Jason Wersland. It's a really cool story. They've recently rebranded as Therabody and are broadening their mission to empower the world on their own healing journeys. Welcome to Hot Seat, Dirk. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great. Why don't you just tell me a little bit about, I was just listening to a podcast previously about Theragun, kind of getting a little bit about their story, but why don't you give me the sort of short version of Therabody's story and how your career intertwined with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head in the intro. It was a product born out of necessity. Dr. Jason Wersland is our founder and inventor of the Theragun device, and this was going back to 2007, 2008. He had just moved out to Los Angeles. He had finished chiropractic school. His mission in life was to be a healer, to help people. And all of a sudden, he found himself on the other side of that coin. He had a horrific motorcycle accident where he walked away from, and he's very fortunate to walk away from that motorcycle accident. But it left him with a lot of skeletal, muscular damage. And through his own recovery journey, which started with going to and seeking professional help, right? Friends of his, colleagues of his, doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, adjusting, having treatments every day, having treatments twice a day, I mean, like when, you have that access and going through all that and having that much skeletal muscular damage and pain, to the point that he didn't want to get out of bed, and do the things that he loved, a new practice, family, like all these life responsibilities. No matter where he looked and what he did, it was always there in his really dark times. But it also was one of those light bulb moments for him where instead of just giving up or turning to other medicines, he's very big believer in holistic, all natural healing. He did something about it himself. So he made the first Theragun. He went into his garage, tinkered around with, off the shelf devices and things in the fitness world, because, again, he's a very active and fit guy, that he knew, could potentially help. And it was a trial and error. He built the first one, based on a hypothesis that he had, of what could really help him, which was tapping into frequency, which is how fast something, vibrates and goes, whether you go up and down vibration or circular vibration, it's all frequency. Once he tapped into that, that's what led him to build the first one. And it, relieved his muscle tension, his pain. And that was it. And that was the success story right there, is that it first and foremost, provided his necessity. It was him solving a problem of his own.
Like a Tony Stark.
And then that's really like what it was. And that's where it was born out of. And, I don't know if it was months or years, and, there's great video on our website about it that distills it down, but he eventually handed it to someone else. And that person came back and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm pain-free. This thing worked. This thing healed me. I had a lot of the same symptoms that Dr. Jason had." And then it was like a validation of like, oh my gosh. And he had already known that he was onto something because he had done it himself. And no matter how many people in his practice that he saw that had chronic acute muscular tension, pain, whatever you want to call it. So it was from that, you know what I mean? 2007, 2008, you just keep going and, making another version and then making another version and making 5 of them and then making 10 of them and, having partner here, partner there. And for whatever reason, just it kind of popping in and out. But at the end of the day, it was this idea of helping people, which really kind of related to his ethos. 2016, we were founded as a company with our current CEO and his business partner. And from there, it's just taken off because that was then what we called the G1 Pro, the G1. And, he had been advocating and out there really with his professionals, with, the chiros, the PTs, the athletic trainers and professionals and advocating for this treatment, this protocol to use this device in that. And so there was a groundswell leading up into 2016 when they finally made, the G1 and mass produced it and knew that there was a business here and that they could help more people. And the goal is always and will always be to get this in as many hands as we possibly can, because at the end of the day, we're all human and humans have muscles. And I don't care if I'm sitting here today or I'm standing at my standing desk or my grandmother who can use it, or my little kids that can try out some of our new versions. Spanning that much is great, right? As a company, but difficult as a marketer because now I got to speak to everyone while speaking to no one. So it's been great. It's been a wild ride. My career intertwined with Theragun. I had been in direct to consumer businesses, early stage startups, subscription commerce, content marketing, you name it, whatever it was in LA that was kind of like the shiny new toy. There was a point, in internet incubators, like Science and places like that. So I'd had a lot of success building really, great marketing, I guess, pillars, working in each kind of discipline and moving up. And expanding those as mobile came around and things like that. I fortunately was at a food discovery app, getting native app experience. I think it was the one thing that was kind of missing in my career, or I felt was a hole. And so we were working on a competitor app in Los Angeles to Yelp. I think that space was interesting at the time. And it just so happened that, there was this opportunity, Daniel Delshot, our now chief strategy officer of Therabody, he had brought me into and hired me for Wannago, which was our food discovery app. And it just so happened that there was these opportunities at Theragun. And so all of us, went over to Theragun, and there just so happened it was the right time and the right place. And they needed the expertise that our team, at Food Discovery kind of provided. And yeah, I think we were like that first round of hiring after a startup is, a core of 5 or 7 people and they've been grinding and they need to expand. That's kind of where we fit in. And we came in this first big wave of hiring back in, I think, end of 2017, beginning of 2018. So they had just transitioned to the G2 Pro. So we came in again, they went from G1 to G2, and they were a G2 Pro, and it was loud. It was a very loud device, and we were a 1 SKU company. And so that's how, and again, I was brought in to run very efficient marketing. This wasn't brand marketing at that point. It was, it was return-based. It was, get in and have very good disciplines on measurement to make sure that those dollars are being efficiently spent, and driving revenue, really, driving growth of what it is. This isn't a venture funded company with $100 million in the bank and go and just drive top line growth and we'll worry about, we'll worry about business economics later. No, this was a very straightforward, profitable business and run very efficiently. And that's what I was brought in to do.
it's sort of like holistic in a way, right? It's the sort of holistic mindset. You know, personally, I had plantar fasciitis. It devastated me for like 4 or 5 months. I ended up taking some hammer therapy for it, which I think is a form of percussive therapy that would, I think, be similar to this. Which was just basically a super fast thing that would, you know, go on my heel. And it was the only thing after months and months and months of things that relieved it. It was this specifically. So when I saw the Theragun, I thought, what a cool concept of being able to, like, because when you have something that's wrong with you, once you get past 40, especially sometimes, which I've done recently, your body, you know, kind of, you know, when things aren't working right, when you're feeling a pain that you can't quite get rid of, when you're at the mercy of something like that, it's a really bad feeling. And to be able to empower people to be able to, you know, heal these things themselves, rather than, I don't know if pharmaceuticals are relevant, but going on a big pharmaceutical, you know, journey or something like that with pain pills, you know, rather being able to take it yourself is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's actually one of the core, you know, principles of why the product exists, right? Is so that you don't turn to something that could take you down an even darker, even into a darker place, right? Of addiction and need and that. You're right. When you have that acute pain, you're gonna look for anything to do to get rid of it. If that's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hours, you know what I mean? You're just trying to buy yourself time. And that's really the power of what the device does, is that it allows you, you know what I mean, over time, if you use this in the proper protocols and the proper treatment and using it the proper way, over time, that should go away. You should feel that relief. You know what I mean? Again, everybody's body's different. So, you know, we can't make wild claims, but you know, at the essence, that's what it's trying to do, is help you heal your body naturally. And help you get back to doing the things that you love, and not have that thing hold you back and not make you question, man, I really don't want to get out of bed today because my feet hurt. I don't want to put them in these uncomfortable shoes and walk around for 8 hours a day, knowing that you are going to do that. But like the pain associated with that, we're taking that away. So now it's like, oh, I have a happy day. You know, you speak about plantar fasciitis. There's a lot of actual podiatrists, like doctor podiatrists in Los Angeles, that have done plantar fasciitis studies for us. So again, a big thing about Therabody is not just that we say it, but we back it up with science. The research is done, the panels, the testing, like we are going through that. I don't know how many we're at right now, and I don't want to speak on the podcast, but there's active, like there's studies that we have completed, that there are, you know, there's information that we have published that, you know, especially about plantar fasciitis, it had enough people in it to have positive results, that this, in combination with your podiatrist using other modalities, right, like ice for cooling, and using those type of things along with the Theragun in a holistic treatment, you know, can have a very positive effect on, you know, curing X amount of people or helping X amount of people relieve those symptoms. So we're always, you know, education is a huge pillar of our business. The team that we've assembled to, you know, provide Dr. Jason and us with those opportunities is amazing. And I don't think there's anybody else out there really going that route. You know what I mean? Because we don't just want to say it, we want to back it up. We want people to understand that, you know, that it isn't really us saying it. It's like, these are verified bodies that do this testing to make sure that, you know, it has gone through the trials. And it's just not, this isn't something that we believe should just, you know, it's not a fad, right? This is to help you. And we really do mean that.
Dirk, how was it going to a company that, you know, has this, I mean, it's an amazing ethos. The product works. It's proven time and time again that it works. I have a competitor one, I think. I use it for restless leg syndrome, and it's like I use it every single night before I go to bed because it helps me sleep. But how was it getting to this company from a marketing perspective where you really, you know, believe in the product, and there's no wool being pulled over anyone's eyes. There's no spinning the truth. Like, this is literally just a product that helps people.
It was refreshing. Yeah. It was, sorry to cut you off, but it was refreshing. It was refreshing because, again, I think as a marketer, you're always wanting to have that passion to connect with the product. Like, anybody can sell a widget. And once commodities become widgets to you, you're just applying tactics, you know what I mean? And you're just turning dials. When those dials actually mean something to you, you become that much better of a marketer. When you use the product all the time, when you hear the testimonials, when you see the proof and you hear it time and time and time again, and it's amazing to have customers, you know what I mean, and have that forward thinking customer mindset, you know, that you are trying to help people. And that is your mission. We're not trying to sell people, right? We're trying to help you. I mean, obviously we're a business, we get that. But at the end of the day, if you are, whatever stage of life you're in, have a need, and this can help you, that's where we want to be part of that conversation. That's where, you know, again, it's so refreshing. You're not just hawking women's shoes. You're not just hawking women's jewelry. I did that, you know, for a subscription commerce company called Beachmint. And yeah, there was a lot of success there, and there was a lot of buzz, and we raised a lot of money, and subscription commerce was very big, and it led to what is now, you know, the FabFitFuns of the world, and the, you know what I mean, all of these other ones that are out there, and you get it. But at the end of the day, as a marketer, it just makes you that much better, right? It just, when you connect with the product and you can speak about it and you can have passion about it, it helps you put that into your work. So I think I had never experienced that until now. Again, they were just jobs. This is, you know, the Therabody is a family, and we're all, you know, the respect that, you know, that comes with that, the mission that we're on. It is a bold claim and bold statement to say we want to get this in everyone's hands. But honestly, we feel that way because I like you, I couldn't imagine my life without the device now. It's intertwined into my daily routine, and I'm very fortunate to work here. So I have access to the product, but like you know, there's going, you know, relaxation, that time that you take for yourself, the waking up in the morning and feeling, you know, a little bit tense or stiff, and, you know, just to pick up the kids or run around with them, and, you know, being able to, you know, loosen up with the Theragun is amazing. And so to tell that story, to relate it to myself, to be able to tell other people, and to convey that in our messaging and what we do, I'm very fortunate. So it's been a blessing to as a marketer to be on that side.
Nice. Now let's get into some of those dials you're talking about, you know, being at the control mechanism of the marketing team for the you know, the growth team here. How big is the marketing team at Theragun, at Therabody?
Marketing team is is pretty substantial. I think we're at 120 employees. Again, don't want to be misquoted, but you know, as a company, that's kind of where we're at. We might even be at 150. I think, you know, we are a global company. So, you know, we sell our products in over 50 countries. We have teams in the UK, Germany, Spain, Italy, China, Australia. So, you know, the support that it takes to run a global brand is, you know, you need that support there. Our marketing team is, you know, equivalent to the size that you would think it would be. Again, I don't know the numbers offhand. But yeah, we have a team that's diversified. I think the one unique thing about Theragun is that we're in a pod structure. So it's not, you know, there's not this like linear, you know, traditional top down thing where you gotta go up and then go down and then go up and go down. It's more of a collective, and in the center is customer experience, because that's where it all starts, is where our customers are, and each branch and each pod kind of go off of that. And so yeah, you have your marketing pod and your sales and your business development and your partnerships and, you know, your design and digital and e-com and us. And, you know, we're all working together. And so it's a very collaborative thing. Oftentimes in our meetings, it's not just the marketing team dictating or collaborating on what should be our key messaging or what should be some point of emphasis, right? We're pulling from a lot of different teams. It might even come from sales ops. It might even come from what we're, you know, research and development. A lot of it comes from education, you know what I mean? And training and research and validation. And so we're pulling all of that together as a team and as a community to then, you know, go and execute. And so then our execution points are different. But yeah, that pod structure allows a lot of freedom of ideas and exchange. So it doesn't really come from all one team. It's everybody collaborating together.
Cross-pollinating to, you know, to create something better. You
have to get the best ideas.
Does the pod structure go down into like the marketing channels you use and things like that? Like, would you have a pod for, I would imagine Facebook and Instagram ads are big for you guys,
Yeah.
influencer, maybe not. Like, do you have pods for each one of those? Do you separate them out?
Yeah, I mean, they all roll up into a major pod, right? But there are smaller little individual groups based on discipline. No, as far as like digital advertising channels, those are not their own pods, not yet. But yeah, like influencers is a example of a pod that has an established team, because again, there are so many ways to define influencer, right? We like to say there's ambassadors, right? So we have we have Therabody or Theragun athletes, right? People that we have created and formed a relationship with because we can support them in their athletic achievements and what they're doing. People that used to be or part of that. We could go down a huge list, but those are active, professional athletes down to everyday athletes. There's influencers in the traditional sense of I'm on Instagram and I create content just specifically for a social channel. I'm a social influencer. So those are what we've identified as needing their support, right? Needing their own internal pod, because there are a lot of moving pieces and working collaboratively with the other groups to make sure everything's covered with those relationships. Design is, again, another pod that's going to be on its own, because there's so many different elements of design that go into it, whether it's product packaging, whether it's website design, whether it's banner design, whether it's events was really big pre-COVID for us. That thought leadership and making sure we're active and having people being able to get a demo of the product. You know what I mean? You can see it, you can watch it, you can hear everybody, say it's the greatest thing in the world, but until you feel it, there's that aha moment. So, that was its own, there was our own pod for that. So when there's a specific need, a pod will be created. Again, there's a bunch of different factors that go into that, but usually it's very warranted that it gets split out.
Yeah, I love that. We have a very similar structure here. You guys, I assume you sell retail and direct to consumer, correct?
Yeah. Retail was a big initiative for us in 2019. Yeah. I think we had traditional distribution agreements. Being a direct to consumer digital company as we started in 2016, and continuing those best practices all the way through now. But there's certain inflection points as a company, and I think it was a model that we knew needed improvement. You know what I mean? In the traditional sense of, hey, if I want to get here, you got to follow this kind of roadmap to get there. And we said, is that really true? Like, we challenged that. And that was a big initiative in 2019, was to, establish those relationships in the way that would be mutually beneficial for us as a company, as a brand, and for to support those retail channels. So yeah, now in 2020, we are, again, a global brand that has direct to consumer e-commerce that we own and operate. Amazon's another channel we own and operate. And then there's retailers, brick and mortar. We have our own store as well. We're in Los Angeles and Century City. We call it the Theragun Reset. It's an experience. You can go and experience the product, whether that's touching it, feeling it, or even booking a treatment. And again, to become a Theragun certified treatment provider, there's a certain protocol that they had to go through so that we could, effectively in a time frame put together, hey, here's, what would you like to choose? What's ailing you? Let us help you. Here's kind of what we have. And that way that you can experience it, as a professional would, or as you would expect, going to your PT or your chiro, somebody who's trusted that they're going to work on your body. Like if you have a, tension in your neck, and that's a problem area, you don't just want somebody grinding in on that, so I think that was very big, and you'll continue to see us experiment with things of that nature to find the right model for us, because it's not all created equal. It's not just, hey, I need a store on this corner and that's good. Maybe it is part of the strategy, but I think we're also open to testing and figuring out what's going to work best for us.
Dirk, that's super cool. The majority of our listeners, like they're online direct to consumer, obviously. A lot of them aspire to go retail and do that push. Could you like give some lessons or some advice to people that are looking to go through that process themselves?
Yeah, I mean, like it really is always challenging what that status quo is. There's no right or wrong answer for them as a business. You know what I mean? They have to, it's very tough to time that up, right? Like when your brand has had enough movement to be recognized by the buyers, right? By the people, the buzz that's created about it. So there's a lot that has to do with timing of knowing when to start that outreach and start that journey to getting distributors, getting retailers. Where are you in that? What's your, where in the market are you? And I think always nothing's ever easy, right? So there's not that guy who runs in with the horse and the silver bullet and can do it all. And it is picking up a lot of pieces and reworking that and looking those contracts over and being very diligent about, again, protecting your brand. Because at the end of the day, that's that higher goal and that higher purpose. So knowing the timing of which you're going to start that outreach, knowing, again, hiring is another key part of that, who you're going to bring onto your team to trust them, to see that vision through, to start the outreach. Do they have the right contacts? Can they make the right inroads? How can, the company help within their networks to, bridge those gaps, to make sure you're making the right connections and talking to the right people. So I think that's the advice I give, is just be really diligent. Don't settle for what traditionally is, sometimes a one-sided agreement. Because again, if there's 50 stores and you want to get into those 50 stores and that's the only guy that does that guy has a lot of power. And so I think like really realizing like that's not, that landscape is changing. You know what I mean? That retail and brick and mortar is evolving, just like direct to consumer is evolving. So don't get stuck in the mindset that you have to do it a certain way. There's your way, and navigate at the best that you can through, again, thinking about your brand and what's best for you, hiring the right people, and knowing when the timing is to start approaching those relationships that you can actually, again, top down, fulfill what you're saying you're going to do for those retailers. Because that's big too.
Is part of that timing like retailers reaching out to you?
Not necessarily.
Yep.
Not necessarily. I mean, I couldn't speak for how it happened for us, but I don't think, I was just shooting off the hip. I don't think that had anything to do with it. You know what I mean? I think it was more where the business was, and what the future is for that brand. And only we knew that timing, that, you could have said, well, why didn't you do that in 2017? Or why didn't you do that in 2019 was just the time. It was apparent. And that was our inflection point. And that was our inflection point to say, hey, there's something here. Let's go and do this. Let's put our resources behind this and do it right.
Nice. And hopefully it kind of picks back up in short order here. The retail side of things anyway. I wanted to ask a little bit, when we were talking earlier about the different variations of your product, the different, G3 and so on. I was really looking into that and noticing just the amount of engineering that has gone into this product. It's, as an agency, we're always focused on angles. When we have a new client come on, we always want to be testing the angles that make the product accessible to specific audiences and things like that. As someone as a company that's developing such advanced engineered products, it must be interesting to be able to, keep that constant feedback loop with your customers and actually not just build angles into how you market the product, but totally revamp the product at times based on customer feedback. And I imagine that something like that happened with your big push to make it a quieter device. Was that something that came from customer feedback?
Of course, it all does, and that's like, again, our core structure is customer experience, and that's feedback, and that's listening, and not just listening, but then acting on it. And I think, again, as you look at the fourth generation, everything that Therabody, Theragun, Theragun, everything's proprietary. There is nothing off the shelf. These are all components that have been designed, that have been engineered. The fourth generation has our proprietary brushless motor that is completely made for us. We made a motor. And that journey started a long time ago. That started probably in 2016 or 17. So before we had even gotten to third generation, we were thinking about fourth generation. You know what I mean? And we might have been on generation 1 and had generation 2 coming out and been like, hey, but when you go through that type of product development, there's a lot of roadmaps in there, and it takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of trial and error. And so that it's very fortunate we take that feedback and we incorporate it into those roadmaps to make sure that we're hitting on all cylinders, that we're building the best product that we possibly can, and taking that feedback that we're getting from customers, the challenges, the pain points, the good, the bad, everything, and putting that into how can we make this better without compromising what makes us unique. And that's really what we've always held at the top, is that the Theragun works because of the frequency, the power, and the amplitude, right? And it's the combination of those three things that make us unique than anyone else. And that's where the science comes in. And the research that goes into engineering, and the professionals that we have on those teams, and the amazing minds that can, conceptualize and build this and fit it into that. At the end of the day, it goes back to that treatment. If that treatment isn't the same device to device, we've messed up. And so keeping that consistency, making sure that it's hitting on all of those at the same time, that's the most important thing. Because the minute a customer has a bad experience, we've lost them forever. So all of those things that we're talking about, customer feedback, how they're interacting with the product, how they're using it over time, that all dictates what our product roadmaps are going to be.
Dirk, how do you guys design that customer feedback loop? I mean, a lot of companies kind of just wait for it to come into them. A lot of companies will, do something to ask for it. They'll ask only their top customers, that kind of thing. How do you guys?
Yeah. It's everywhere, and that it's anything from the outreach that we do, market research that we do, events that we attend, comments that we get, family members that use it, texts that we get, emails. I mean, it really is from everything that you could think of. You know what I mean? It's outbound and inbound. I think there's so much training and education that goes on. We're on the ground a lot across the country with different verticals, from gyms to hospitality to regular consumer, fitness, health, wellness. I mean, it goes back to everybody having muscles, right? So there's all these different areas that we can collect that feedback from, or we can initiate that feedback, or we can ask and, start that dialogue. And we're very fortunate that we have those open channels in all of them to get that feedback. So it is truly everything. It's outbound and inbound.
Let's dive a little bit into the marketing here. And, you obviously, I took a look at your ad library. You guys are obviously a very sophisticated Facebook marketer in terms of the multi-different angles that you're testing for different parts of the funnel. That was sort of evident in looking at that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about how your team sort of organizes its approach. Let's start maybe just within. Is it omni-channel? Do you think of your angles as an omni-channel thing? Do you build for Facebook and Instagram? Just talk a little bit about how you conceptualize the DTC part of your marketing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a collaborative effort, right? Like I said, there's all the different pods that contribute to that, whether it's, key messaging, what particular, angle as you take. I think more important to us is it all goes back to education. How are we educating our customer on what we're about? Just fulfilling that why. Like, why should this matter to me? And that comes from all the different teams. There's not one that rises above. Is a collaborative effort to determine what those are. And once those are our pillars, right? The tactics and omni-channel and where you go and buy and how you execute a said plan or messaging. I mean, those are just places to buy media. You can buy media anywhere. And I think what we're really trying to do, make sure our customers understand the why. Why are we different? How are we different? What makes it special? What makes it unique? What are people saying about it? And so I think we take in all of that, and then that's how we design our campaigns. And that's what goes into it. So it's, again, a collaborative effort cross team to establish the talking points, to establish the angles, the pillars, what is special, what is our separator, again, what's unique about us. And that's kind of guided us in what there. I think anybody can get into a specifications war, and anybody can get into a price war. Those are the easiest things to compete on. And those are the easiest things to point to. Really, when you point to the things that separate you from everyone else. And if you just look at our product, look at the design of the product, and then look at what's out there, I think that's a very telling example of exactly why we do things the way we do them. Is because we're unique. There's only one, and that's.
I was listening to this interview previously, and it was even just something about your triangle shape, whereas cheaper devices or knockoffs or something like that might just be more like a hammer sort of thing with a stick and a percussive device or whatever. But how that can be extremely detrimental to someone who has to use it professionally, or someone who has to use it a lot. Not having that ergonomic triangle design actually makes it a much less effective device over time.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the design of our product is the Theragun triangle. And we've spent a lot of, time, research, development, protecting that, patenting that. That's what makes us unique, is everything is thought out in our product to provide the treatment, again, a consistent treatment, whether that's you treating yourself, whether that's a professional using it to treat you, things of that nature.
Nice. Just quickly about marketing channels. Are there any particular marketing channels that you're more excited about or less excited about? Are there any that you're investing more heavily in 2020?
1 second. Yeah. My little ones are running around the house right now.
That's funny.
Sorry.
No worries. Not
No worries at all.
Yeah, this is life.
The new normal, man.
The new normal, right? Being interrupted and doing that. So
Totally.
sorry we got off track. The question
okay.
was.
The question was just more specifically about the channels that you're sort of most interested in terms of direct to consumer for 2020.
Yeah, I think 2020 for us is again, being a digitally native company and having digitally native practices. I think that the interesting things for us are, where do we expand and grow outside of that? And what are those things? Are they old traditional DR tactics that, that go and we explore, that, traditional marketing has been leveraging? Are they mass reach? Do we go completely upper funnel and go big brand awareness? I think those are very interesting questions for us at the moment, into, what is really going to be the best for Theragun. Is it, again, is it aligning with more athletes? Is it more on the ground support? So I think those things, more localized support. So I think those things are very interesting for us in 2020 is really where do we expand outside of the digital channels? How do we support that? And how do we do it in the Therabody Theragun way, in the fashion? What's really unique and interesting and very exciting in 2020, obviously, is that we've launched a CBD brand in Theragun. And so how do we incorporate a whole brand new product that fits into the family? And how do we explore not only existing channels that are tried and true, direct to consumer and digital and what we know for device, but what other channels are open because we have a completely new product line that appeals to a different customer. You know what I mean? So I think those things are very, very exciting for us at the moment.
Very cool. And that speaks to your sort of rebrand that you've done from originally the Theragun to Therabody. That's really opened up the door for
Yes.
Thera1 and other products as well, or are you really focused on sort of the Theragun products and the Thera1?
I think you'll always see us, research and development, right? We're always looking for complementary things. So that never stops. When you have such a talented team and just this goal and mission to provide holistic healing, all natural, and those type of things, I don't think that stops. What they are, I couldn't tell you, but I know that we're always going to be looking for complementary things to bring into the family. And Thera1 is that first step. And you alluded to it first. It's like Theragun has an amazing brand name and an amazing recognition. And it is because of Dr. Jason and what he's built and how we've marketed the product and how we've spoken and kept customers first. But really, to be that tech wellness company, to move into, that space, that Rebrand had, was very important, because it does open up the ability for us to be like, this isn't just what we do. We're going to do a lot of other things. So that's exciting. That's fun. Being part of that journey, very fortunate. So I think I'm just excited as everyone else to see where that takes us. But for right now, it's Theragun and Thera1, and then, we'll see what happens.
There's so many more puns you could explore.
I got an idea for you. The red light therapy Theragun site.
A laser, yeah, perhaps. Quick question, just a little derivation here. To move into CBD, I was doing it, before I had joined Pilothouse, I was doing CBD marketing. It's a really challenging space. I know that Facebook and some of these other platforms have loosened the reins on topical applications of CBD, but do you have any high level insights into what it's been like marketing CBD on these major platforms?
Yeah, you hit on it. There is a lot of ambiguity in regulatory, bodies in determining what can and can't happen, and that trickles down into what I kind of coined as the big three. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, and Google. What are they doing? How are they tackling these issues? What are their stances? Two of them are very black and white. Can't do it. And one of them has, been a little bit more, have a little bit more guidelines. So, which is great. And I think, again, for CBD brands that have little to zero THC in them, it really, we're not trying to have them dictate policy or anything, but again, the nature of the product and what it is, there's a lot of, again, the education around those type of points. We're hoping in the future become that, this is a product that people need, that can be advertised. So we're hoping that those reins keep being, loosened. But that doesn't stop us from thinking inside the box and outside the box. So whether that's those specific channels or finding new channels, it is a challenge, but again, it is just a problem to be solved, because there are so many avenues for us as marketers to do that type of outreach, to test media, to test, media that you wouldn't have tested for one product or another, or one reason or another. Now, those are open and viable and something to look into. So that's exciting, because we're always looking to expand that experience, right? To find that new tactic that actually works, and to continue to do it and advocate for it.
Is Thera1 going to be a subscription product?
That's a great question. Right now it's just point of sale, same thing. I think, we're always looking at all options being on the table. I don't quite, if that is or is not. I think for right now it is following the same model as Theragun. But yeah, I think with any, consumable, it does make sense to think about those type of things. Yeah. But like I said, I don't know.
Cool.
Well, I wish you the absolute best on this journey to help heal the world. Obviously, CBD is another one of those things that just can lead to that holistic sort of equilibrium that you're looking for in health, the sort of supporting of the immune system, supporting of your body's own natural functions. And so it's a really interesting pivot for a company like yours to take on. You know, my advice in what you're doing, like you're so gifted at content as a company, because you come from such a truthful place and such your story and your product are so amazing. You guys have become so good at telling the story around your products. I think it's really diving into that content. One of the things we specialize in as an agency is really focusing on pre-sale content, essentially. So different experiences, different pages, even sometimes different sub-brands, content brands that are built to support the main brand there. And I think there's so many amazing stories that you can tell with that content that you're already telling. It's just a matter of kind of continually engaging people about that stuff that matters.
Yeah, it's the natural evolution, right? And in a lot of cases, especially Theragun and Theragun, they make a lot of sense, right? You know, they're all natural. You're healing your body yourself. You're getting back into balance. You know, whether that's balancing your muscles with a percussive therapy device and helping your nervous system kind of rewire itself to pay attention to muscles, right? Which is really what Theragun does. And then you have Theragun, which, again, the endocannabinol systems that we have in our bodies, have been sorely lacking. And so, to now balance your body with CBD products, and trust, and have the trust and transparency is really big. And I think that, again, it kind of goes back to that nature of what Theragun and what we've put together in owning that entire process, start to finish, and building something that, we believe in, we use, and that it's out there, that information is there. You want to know everything about it, here it is. There's no hiding in the shadows. Here's what the product is. Here's how it can benefit you. Here's what it helps with. So I think those things tie in very well together. Now, they're great on their own, but they're that much better together. And so I think those are some of the synergies that we're really looking to push, is that, yes, they can be amazing products on their own, and whether it's your use case or someone else's use case, they can use both different products, but, in harmony together, that's really where that balance comes from. So that's really what, we're all about is, making sure that fits into kind of like our core ethos of what we do. And that those, products can work in harmony or on their own too.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the hot seat today. I think we learned a lot. You're one of the larger companies that we've had on the cast. And, we've dealt with where, sometimes we're dealing with more tactical considerations, frontline considerations of ad structures and things like this. But it's very interesting to hear how an organization at your size, at your scale, kind of thinks about things at a high level. So it's been super interesting for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. No, guys, thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Awesome. Okay, well, keep it real. Stay safe in California, there in LA.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon. See you sometime when the world gets together.
Thanks. There we go. All right, stay in touch, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Dirk.
Bye.